We have the new Natasha Denona palette. I am going to be doing 2 looks with it. I will also start off with close-ups, swatches, information about the palette. I am going to do some comparisons as well. Then I will show you look number 1, look number 2, and at the end, I give you my initial thoughts. Now, this is not a review. I have to continue using this palette more than twice to get my full and final thoughts, but this is maybe giving you some inspo, giving you some insight into formulas, etc. And of course, as I'm going through this, I would love to know your thoughts on this new palette from Natasha Denona. Did you pick it up? Are you planning on picking it up? Are you planning on skipping? Whatever it is, let me know in the comments. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoy it, and definitely consider subscribing if you love eyeshadow content. So this is the new Natasha Denona palette, and it's called the Roxa palette. I know that it's spelled R-O-X-A, but the word Roxa is purple in Portuguese, so it is pronounced Roxa. Thank you for those of you who did, a couple of you DM'd me on Instagram to let me know about that. I would not have even thought to Google the word because, yeah, I would have just read it like Roxa, so. Anyway, wanted to mention that. So we have this gorgeous outside packaging. It's very similar in packaging to the Golden palette, where it is like that textured plastic with the ripple action. And on the inside, we have this absolutely gorgeous, primarily purple color story, although as you can see, this is look number 2. I'm definitely getting a pink look out of it as well. So you'll have to stick around to see how different do my looks come out, because I tried to create 2 different looks. So we've got a mixture of mattes and several different metallic finishes that she is starting to do in her palettes, where she's creating different shimmer options, which I really appreciate. I really do. It's nice to get that variety. So let me give you some information about this, and I'll pop up these swatches and close-ups. The Roxa eyeshadow palette showcases a vibrant assortment of vivid violets, pastel lavenders, rich fuchsias, and orchid pinks in Natasha's iconic pro-level, user-friendly formulas, featuring 2 sparkling foiled shades, 2 duochromes, including 1 unique graphic design shade assembled with new filling technology for a custom duochrome, 1 metallic, 1 wet effect, and 1 crystal sparkling topper. It also debuts the brand new Silky Matte formula in 8 mesmerizing shades. This palette does retail for $69. It is cruelty-free, paraben-free, and this palette is made in Italy. I do have an affiliate code with Natasha Denona's website. You can use the code Rachel and it will save you 15% off. I have heard that affiliate codes don't apply to this palette. I don't know that that's for sure the case, but I've heard some people talking about it. But you can of course try my code or try somebody's code if you want to try to get that 15% off on her site. So let's go through each of these different formulas and talk about them a little bit. So the Silky Mattes. Now at this point I've already created the 2 looks, and I'm not really sure that I felt a difference in the mattes of previous palettes to this one. They seem like the good mattes that I expect from her, but it says, apply with a soft, dense eyeshadow brush in packing motions and then blend to diffuse. For a seamless and airbrush finish, apply in swiping motions with a fluffy eyeshadow brush. I mean, it feels like the good Natasha Denona matte quality. I'd be interested to know exactly what's different about it. It doesn't say, that's the only thing it says about the Silky Matte formula. So then we have sparkling foiled and metallics. Use a damp eyeshadow brush or fingertip to achieve a reflective high shine finish. So sparkling foiled and metallic. So we have Concord right here. This is a sparkling foiled medium violet. We have Brink, which is the one that is on my lid right now, which is a sparkling foiled pink. We have Stargirl right here, which is a sparkling foiled duochrome pink with a bronze champagne shift. I do use that in my inner corner in the first look. Then we have Bolt right here, which is a sparkling foiled graphic design violet and silver. So this is that marbled shade. I do use this in the first look. And then finally we have Regal, which is a metallic vintage rose, which is just a standard metallic. Then we have the wet effect eyeshadows. Apply with a flat eyeshadow brush or the tip of your fingers. So the only wet effect shade here is Flutter, and these are more like toppers. They don't have a strong base, but they are very, very piecey and really, really pretty. And then coming back to this shade Bolt right here, the custom graphic design duochrome. Use your finger to mix both shades in the pan to create your custom icy purple duochrome shade and swipe onto the eyelid. So it's a marbled shade. Basically, it's 2 different shadows that you want to either use your finger to really swirl it in, or you can use a brush. I don't know that it comes out looking like a duochrome, I'll be honest with you. When I did, and you're gonna see it in look number 1, when I did use it in look number 1, it basically came out like a purple shimmer with a little bit of silver reflect in there. So I do appreciate that she's putting different formulas in. I really do appreciate that. So yeah, that is the information on the palette, the close-ups and the swatches. I want to briefly just do a couple of comparisons. The only palette really that comes to mind for me with like pinks and purples is the Love palette. Now, of course, I'm pretty sure that the Love palette is no longer available. So again, when brands bring out new palettes that kind of overlap with old palettes that have been discontinued, I don't mind if they've been discontinued because it's not like you can buy it anyway. So this is the Love palette. This is the Roxa palette. Definitely different in that the Love palette has some pops of red, has a cream to powder. There's 2 cream to powders in the Love palette, which honestly, I'm really happy that this new palette does not have cream to powders because I don't like the cream to powder formula personally from Natasha Denona. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I much prefer just to have all regular mattes. So that's the difference between those two. Now, if you have the Love palette, do you need this new Roxa palette? I mean, that's completely up to you. That is your call. Another palette that I just wanted to kind of throw out there is Bella Beauté Bar's Ultraviolet palette. Now, of course, this is an indie brand. I know that the Bella Beauté Bar palette is not going to be as accessible to some people, especially if you're in Europe, Asia, etc. I would think that Natasha Denona is going to be more accessible for you. But if you are in the US or you have access to Bella Beauté Bar, I just wanted to kind of hold up this palette next to Natasha Denona's new palette. So the Bella Beauté Bar Ultraviolet palette was in collaboration with Deandra Nicole on Instagram. She's an amazing creator. She's a very nice person. She does absolutely beautiful work, swatches, flat lays, looks on Instagram. I will link her Instagram down below. If you don't follow her, you should. This palette is definitely more purple based. With the Roxa palette, we have purples and pinks. So just depends on what you're looking for. I definitely think that the Bella Beauté Bar formula is much more stepped up, in my opinion, than Natasha Denona in terms of like pigmentation. The mattes are very, very pigmented. The shimmers are very, very shiny, very impactful. There are some duochromes. Is there a multichrome in here? I don't know if there's a multichrome in here, but definitely we have some more special shimmers. So if that is in your preference and this is accessible to you, I think this is a really, really nice palette. If you're looking for just a straight up purple palette, again, the new Roxa palette has more pinks mixed in, and the Ultraviolet is just straight up purple. Of course, different tones of purple, but I really, really love this Bella Beauté Bar palette a lot, a lot, a lot. So I just wanted to kind of compare those two, hold them up. I know that probably a couple of people were wondering about that. And the Ultraviolet palette from Bella Beauté Bar just did go back in stock, so I will link it down below. I don't personally have an affiliate code with Bella Beauté Bar, but there are ones floating around out there, so yes. I think that's all I want to say. I would love to know your thoughts on this like palette after seeing close-ups and swatches. What's your interest level? I would love to know. So now I'm going to send you off to look number 1. Editing Rachel here. I just wanted to quickly pop in and say I know that this palette is, and she has said it's like an updated version of her Lila palette. Unfortunately, I don't own that palette, so I can't do any comparisons. So just wanted to throw that out there. I know maybe some of you would ask that question. I don't have the Lila palette, so I can't compare. All right, now I'm going to send you off to look number 1. Okay, so I am going to do my first look with the palette, and I want to try to do like a true purple look. I don't want to play with the berries or the pinks. I want to see if I can get like an actual purple look, because I've noticed in the comments people are saying that they really want like a purple palette, and this looks a little too pink, which I agree, there are definitely pops of pink, but I also think there are some purples in here. Let's try it. I just washed all of my brushes. No better feeling in the world than to be able to choose any brush I want and it's clean. It's the little things, okay? I'm gonna first start with the shade Velour right here, and I'm gonna put this through my crease. I've already primed my eyes. It's much more pigmented than I thought it was going to be. I do find with the Natasha Denona mattes, sometimes they can show up darker on your eyes than they look in the pan, because I actually thought this might have been more like a pastel, and it's definitely not. Next, I'm gonna go in with the shade Jacaranda right here, this like deeper purple, and put that a little bit lower in the crease and in the outer corner. Okay, so those two mattes blended just like I would expect them to, pretty effortlessly. That's usually how it works with Natasha Denona. I'm gonna go into the shade Eclipse, that deepest, darkest matte in the palette, and put that in the outer corner. Yeah, that was effortless, to say the least. Okay, so I want to use this marbled shade. I have not swatched this palette at the moment of filming this first look. Typically, I swatch my palettes in between my two looks. I want to use this one. I'm very curious to see what this is going to look like on the lid because it is like a marbled shade. They're calling it Sparkling Foiled Graphic Designed. Okay. So I have put the NYX Glitter Primer on my lid off camera, so I'm gonna just kind of swirl my finger in there. And it's definitely coming off very purple. I don't know, let's see. I'm gonna blend this over my lid. It's pretty, it looks like a really sparkly purple with silver reflect. It's really pretty. I think a lot of brands are doing these like swirly marbled shades more for the aesthetic, right? More for like the product photos, more for, you know, catching your eye more than functionality. You know what I mean? But I will say, I think it looks nice on the lids. You just have to make sure you really swirl your brush or your finger and then really kind of go back and forth over your eyelid to be able to like distribute the product evenly, if that makes sense. I'm not mad at that. I think that looks really pretty. I'm gonna head off camera, put some more makeup on my face, and I will come back so we can finish the look together. All right, I am back. Maintenance, the people next door to me, in the apartment next door to me moved out, and maintenance is like nailing something on the wall. So if you hear that, I apologize. Anyway, let's continue on with the look. I'm gonna repeat the same mattes on my lower lash line, starting with the darkest shade called Eclipse. I'm gonna push that up against my lower lash line. I'm going to blend that out with Jacaranda. And then lastly, I'm going to blend that out with Velour. In my waterline, I'm going to use this one from Pacifica. I don't know what shade it is, but I will link it down below. So for my inner corner, I'm gonna go into the shade Stargirl, and they're calling it a sparkling foiled duochrome pink with a bronze champagne shift. Yeah, that seems about right. I'm gonna pop that in my inner corner. Pretty, really, really pretty. All right, I'm gonna head off camera, finish up the rest of my look, and come back to show you the final look. All right, and this is the finished look number one. What do you think? Honestly, I think it came out really, really pretty. And this is a true purple look. It's not pink leaning at all, so it was definitely able to create more of like a cool tone / neutral purple look using the shades on this side of the palette. So all of the mattes performed great, like the good Natasha Denona matte quality that I'm used to. Pigmented, they show up a little deeper on the eyes than in the pan. Easy to blend, easy to work with, all of that. And the shimmer that's on my lid, Bolt, looking at it like up close in the mirror, it looks like a really pretty purple with some like multi-dimensional reflect, some purple reflect, some silver reflect. Very, very pretty, honestly. And the duochrome that's in my inner corner is really pretty. So far so good. Really happy with the look. I definitely want to create something a little more pink leaning for the second look. So I'm going to send you off to the second look now. All right, so we're going to do a second look with the palette, and I want to play with more of like the pinky tones, the warmer side, if you will. I have already primed my eyes. I'm first going to go in with the shade Heather. I'm gonna try to go really lightly in with my brush. I feel like this is gonna be pretty pigmented. And put this through my crease. Yeah. Very pigmented. Now I'm gonna go in with the shade Cherise right here, or Cerise. And I'm gonna put this in the outer corner and a little lower in the crease. So I put the NYX Glitter Primer on my lid off camera, and I'm gonna go into the shade Brink. It looks like a duochrome. It is described as a sparkling foiled pink. Maybe it's not a duochrome. Let's try it. That's very pretty. But this look is very pink. Like, as you can see, very, very pink. I'm gonna take this liquid liner from Surratt. I'm just gonna draw a line on my upper lash line. And I want to use the shade Eclipse, that darkest matte in the palette, to create a wing. I'm going to take a tiny little brush. I usually use a really tiny little brush from BK Beauty, but I cannot find it, so I'm just going to take an angled brush, any angled brush that I found. Yeah, this brush is a little big. It's not super precise, unfortunately, but trying to make it work. All right, I'm gonna even these out, perfect them a little bit, get some more makeup on my face, and I will come back and we can continue the eye look together. All right, I am back. Let's continue. I'm gonna go back into the palette. I'm going to pick up that deepest shade Eclipse and run this along my lower lash line and connect it to the wing. Oh! I think I got it. I'm gonna blend that shade out with Cerise right here. And then I'm gonna blend that out with Heather, that first shade I used. For my waterline, I'm going to use ColourPop's Charmer. And for my inner corner, I'm gonna use this matte shade called Phoebe right here. All right, so I'm gonna pop off camera, finish up the rest of the look, come back to show you the final look and to give you my initial impressions on this palette. All right, and this is the finished look number 2. What do you think? I think it came out really pretty. I love pink and I love purple. So I'm down for this eyeshadow palette. I'll be honest with you. I think this came out beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So my initial thoughts on this palette are, I really like it. I'm really glad that she came out with a purple palette. It is lacking in her eyeshadow palette line. Although, you know, you already saw the comparison with the Love palette. There are purples in that, but this is, I think, a purple monochromatic palette done well because it has purples, but you can also get a different look out of it, not just a straight up purple look. So I do appreciate that. I think the mattes performed great, like the good Natasha Denona matte quality I expect. And the shimmers in this are pretty. She is trying to do something different by putting different types of shimmers in her palettes. I have to continue, of course, testing this palette and really getting to use all of the shimmers before I can tell you like the quality of them and how they look and stuff. But the ones that I used, I really enjoy. This one here in look number 1 was just a really pretty metallic that had a little bit of dimension to it. The one that's on my lid, same thing, really pretty metallic with dimension to it. There are a couple more like toppery shades, so I will continue to use those. Now, of course, if you like indie shimmers that are like very foiled, multi-chromes, you're not gonna get that out of this palette. And I mean, I kind of don't expect that out of a palette from Sephora, you know, these brands, but I would say it's done well. I really enjoy it. I like it a lot. I love purples, I love pinks, so I don't have much to complain about. But of course, now I would love to know your thoughts on this palette after watching this video. What do you think about it? Are you planning on picking it up? Did you already pick it up? Are you gonna skip on it? Whatever it is, let me know because I love hearing from you. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot when you do that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing before you leave. I do upload videos weekly and I'd love to see you back on my channel again. I wanna thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye.